Welcome to Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate is presented by Sunbasket. Now, if you had your way, you'd have all the time in the world to shop at farmers markets, to look up healthy recipes, spend hours crafting delicious meals, but you've got a busy schedule. And Sunbasket is your go-to. Get their healthy meal kits delivered to your front door, full of organic and sustainable produce, responsibly sourced meats and seafoods, easy recipes that taste amazing. Sunbasket's paleo, lean and clean, gluten-free, vegetarian, and family options make it easy to eat the way you want. And you can always customize your recipes if you want to mix it up. This is hands down one of the easiest ways to incorporate healthy eating into your routine. Head to sunbasket.com/gate today to get $35 off your first order. That's sunbasket.com/gate for $35 off. sunbasket.com/gate. Don't forget, you can find new episodes of Heaven's Gate 1 week early and ad-free on Stitcher Premium. Go to stitcher.com/premium and use promo code GATE.
A score of persons from a small Oregon town have disappeared. It's a mystery whether they've been taken on a so-called trip to eternity or simply been taken. Terry Drinkwater takes a look at that story.
Rocket ships from outer space, Buck Rogers' fantasy, or is it?
This is CBS Evening News, October 8th, 1975. If you heard Walter Cronkite and his crew deliver this, you might have been at home with your kids, maybe watching over TV dinner trays. Millions of people were. And CBS News was talking about what now?
Here along the cloud-covered coast near Newport, Oregon, a mysterious couple appeared 3 weeks ago, circulating a flyer proclaiming a UFO would soon be ready to take whomever would follow them to another life, another world. They held meetings, one at this motel to recruit voyagers. The man, claiming to be millions of years old, was recorded by one of the listeners in this room.
You know that you have tried everything to find a perfection or a completion.
I know this is hard to hear, but it's recorded by a person in the crowd. Marshall Applewhite was up there, cheerful, calm, like an uncle you're glad to see. And he was telling these people, I know how to help with your problems. He was saying,
You know that you have tried everything.
We know that you've tried everything
To find a perfection
to find perfection
or a completion or a lasting satisfaction
or a completion or lasting satisfaction
at the human level.
And it cannot be done. And it cannot be done.
One who attended the meeting, Judy Martin.
They were talking about another level than this one, and they were saying that we were ready, evolutionary-wise, to go to this other level. And they were trying to convert people to it.
And they were talking about leaving in a UFO. Afterward, as many as 20 attending the meeting simply vanished.
They just said that we are going on to a better thing, and they gave away everything, including kids. All of their material belongings, property, automobiles, boats, and money, and just left.
Last time, I told you how Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Lou Nettles found each other and then found their destiny in the Bible and in the stars. But this is the moment where they found their flock. In this chapter of our story, we're going to get into what it's like to join that flock, what it's like to really follow T and Doe and take their word as gospel. But remember, every person who went with Heaven's Gate left people behind. What's it like for the parents? What's it like when their daughter, their son, joins some group they never heard of and then it's just gone? What can they do with that feeling? What can they actually do to find their kids? I'm Glynn Washington, and this is Heaven's Gate, Episode 3, The Mothers.
I'll tell you who I am.
T and Doe, whatever they want to call us,
Whether or not you believe is up to you.
We all have to deal with demons.
We're trying to teach you how to prepare yourself. You are members of the next level.
The next level.
This is a little notebook I put together after David died.
Remember Nancy Brown? Nancy talked with me in the first episode. She was watching that Christmas video of her son David. He was surrounded by his friends from within Heaven's Gate. And right now, I'm here in her living room in Chico, California, and we're just going through memories of her son.
Oh, there's David, yeah. And he's little. There's his dad, and...
Nancy's kept everything. Newspaper clippings, old letters, scraps of paper.
A quarter. I found a quarter. They always carried a quarter for a payphone. And I found it tucked in a little pocket of a notebook. There was this quarter.
Photos of David spill all over the table.
And then there's pictures of David. I just say his big grin. He had a wonderful big grin. And he had a crooked grin because when he was born, they used forceps and it pulled the corner of his lip down. David was always so self-conscious about his smile. He could give you a hug that you really knew you were hugged.
Nancy is the kindest person. She's generous and open. She even interrupted the interview to see if I needed lunch.
Is that okay? It's just 12. Are you guys hungry yet?
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
That spirit's amazing, given how long she's lived with the pain of what happened to David. Nancy remembers the day David left so clearly. It was the summer of 1975. San Francisco's BART train was new.
That was like a big deal. Oh, we're going to go on the BART train.
And one of her sons, Robert, was going to drive her over to the station and take the train with her.
He said, I heard from David. I said, oh, good. What's new? He says, he's leaving. I said, what do you mean? He's going on a trip? No, he's leaving for good. He wasn't going on a trip or going to go visit someplace or go attend something. He was leaving his life behind. He told his brother, he said, I'm leaving all my things. He said, come and take anything that you want, because I'm just taking a few clothes with me, and that's it.
Nancy was so confused and devastated. She didn't know what to do. So she got on the train.
And I burst into tears. I couldn't stop crying. I cried all the way over to San Francisco.
And then they came home, and Nancy scrambled to get a hold of David, but she couldn't. Somehow, Nancy got a phone call with David's friend, a woman named Lacey. Lacey had signed up for the group too.
She said, I know why you're calling. You want us to come and say goodbye. And she said, we're not going to do that. They tell you not to do that. They, the leaders of the group, T and Doe. And I said, it's very, very important to me. Please come. You must come and say goodbye. I need to hear it from David's lips. I'll respect his decision. I won't try to prevent it. But please, this is the right thing to do. She said, well, I don't know. I'll talk to him. I'll think about it.
We can't know the conversation that Lacey and David had that night, what they considered, but we do know that the next morning, Lacey and David showed up at Nancy Brown's door.
Oh, he's been so grateful that they did that David agreed to come. And then he just sat there, right across from me and told me he'd been going to these meetings and it seemed to really speak to him. And he said, I don't know if this is the right thing for me or not, but I'm going to try it. And I'll tell you that if it isn't right for me, I will leave. So I thought, fair enough. I can still see him sitting there looking at me. He was so sincere. It wasn't like, oh, this is, some little fun little thing I'm going to check out. No, he was just dead serious about it.
At this point, what can you say? Your son is an adult. He's bursting with excitement to join this group and go on this adventure. Well, Nancy did the only thing that she knew how to do. She supported her kid.
I said, did they need anything? They need any money? No, we don't want your money. I said, well, how about you go to need to eat? She had a van and they had their sleeping bags and stuff. I said, can I just give you some food, whatever I have in the house? I had some apples and oranges and maybe some canned goods and stuff like that. And they took a bag full of groceries and they got in and drove off.
Must have been thinking, well, maybe he'll come back soon. Maybe I'll hear from him soon. Let me know where you are.
I think I probably said that. And he said, well, I'll be in touch. I don't know when, but I will be. So about a week later, we got a postcard just wanting us to know. I think he sent one to his dad's house and one to me, for me and his brothers, and that they'd found the group in Southern California someplace, camping, and they joined them, and that he was fine and he was happy to be there, and that was it. And then we didn't hear anything again for like 6 or 7 months. It was a really long time.
After a while, the media wasn't interested in this wacky UFO group anymore. There were no more Walter Cronkite segments, no newspaper articles. There was just Nancy, left alone with her thoughts.
I had this, like a mantra. Where is he? How is he? Is he all right? Will I ever see him again? Is he still living? And I would try not to think these things, but it was just, that's what your heart wants to know.
Nancy lived with that mantra and that heartache for a long time. It was more than 5 years before she figured out what she could do about it. But then you better believe Nancy did something. Before we get to that, I want to give you a glimpse of what Nancy and the other families couldn't see back then. What life was like for David and everyone else inside Heaven's Gate. In just a moment. Have you walked by a newsstand and seen a stunning magazine cover that makes you want to stop and peek inside? Or read a cover headline that makes you need to know more? Well, the next time you do, remember Texture. With the Texture app, not only do you get to take a peek, you get the whole magazine, plus unlimited access to over 200 additional premium titles like Time, The Atlantic, The New Yorker, Wired. Right now, you can try Texture for free. Just imagine having your favorite magazines and their back issues anytime, anywhere. To start your Texture free trial, go to texture.com/gate. If you choose to continue, podcast listeners will get Texture for just $9.99 a month. That's over 30% off their listed price. There are also great gift options available for the holiday season. Go to texture.com/gate to start your free trial today. That's texture.com/gate. Texture.com/gate. We're back. Now, I promised to peek into the world of the Heaven's Gate faithful, and here you go.
When I knew this interview was coming up, I went into a box. I have a whole box of clippings and information from that time.
This is Teold Heises. He joined around the same time as Nancy's son, David.
And a lot of it which my mom had saved while I was gone. And I found a postcard in there that I sent to my family, to my mom and dad. So I'll read it to you if you like. It's November 1975. Yep, that makes sense. Mom and Dad, I have joined the group here at a camp. We leave today to go traveling. We are all helping take care of each other, and I am sure no harm will come to us. Soon after the two are killed and resurrected, we will be following them to heaven. Until then, please do not worry about me. I will write you again if anything goes wrong. So if I don't write, know that all is fine. Love, Teo.
Imagine getting that postcard from your kid.
Well, I'm sure they were heartbroken by it, and I'm sure they were afraid for me.
Take that feeling, the one Teo's parents had and Nancy Brown had, and repeat it about 20 times, because that's the low estimate of how many followers joined T and Doe after that big meeting in Waldport, Oregon. While parents, family, friends across the country were gripped with worry, wondering what they could possibly do, the new members of Heaven's Gate were camping.
I'll give you a picture. When we were driving up the mountain in Grand Junction, Colorado, the National Monument, I was wondering if I was going to see a UFO,
This is Sawyer, our harmonica-playing former member, and his experience after signing up for Heaven's Gate was pretty typical. Sawyer joined in one place in Waldport, Oregon, but immediately he was given directions to meet the group far away in a beautiful natural park in western Colorado. And if he joined another time, he might have been sent to the Texas Hill Country or the Arizona desert. They were always moving, and being devoted enough to find the group was like a test. But once you did find them and you got your tent, what they gave you next was a haircut.
When I got to the little camping area, they cut off my hair because I had long hair like this, and shaved my beard because that was part of the program, to not look like we looked before and not to identify with being any kind of person, in particular, and in our looks.
T and Doe want you to sever all the connections to your past, anything that could drag you back, including how you saw yourself. Leslie Light, she joined around the same time.
I did cut my hair, and I did that just because it was a symbol of my female ego, vanity. I didn't shave my head or anything. I just cut my hair because I thought it was just, it was a symbol.
And then the next few days were spent learning how T and Doe did things.
T and Doe had a lot of new terminology for a lot of things,
including for you. Doe would ask you to choose a name for yourself because you're here now, not out there in the world. Most Heaven's Gate members put this sound at the end of their group names. Odie.
Thanks, Jim Odie. Hi, Dave Odie. There's Alex Odie, Iris Odie, Stam Odie, and Lodi. There's Odie, Golden Odie. We call him Tall Odie because he's a little taller than Lagodi.
Odie sounds like a combination of Doe and T, kind of. And also, Odie was meant like a contraction of God. And the letter Y is meant as a diminutive, like reminding you that you are a child, because there is so much to learn before your graduation into the stars. T and Doe named everything with the heavens in mind.
So a vehicle was a human body.
They set up their camp like a space station, and you were kind of training to be an astronaut.
The house was called a craft, like a spacecraft. The kitchen was called the Nutrilab, as in nutrition lab.
And also, right away, you were given a check partner.
We were all with a partner.
This is Teo again.
Everybody was partnered.
It's kind of like what the Mormons, the LDS do when they set out on their missions. You're paired with another group member to keep yourself from doing anything too human. T and Doe were each other's check partners, and they'd assign you one.
The one who I was with the most in the first part was Nancy Brown's son.
Leslie Light says her check partner was like a test in of himself.
They paired you up with somebody that you would least likely want to be paired up with. They put me with this crazy guy who was kind of a street guy.
So, day-to-day life in the group? Get your body/vehicle up and at 'em. Roll up the sleeping bag. Check in with your check partner.
You know, every once in a while, you get into arguments.
And you hit the road.
Our day-to-day life was traveling.
The group splits up into pairs and begins spreading the word, searching for new followers. They're nomads.
We were given such a little amount of money and we had to travel like hundreds of miles, and inevitably you had to make choices to, you know, what you were going to spend your money on to feed yourself.
The kind of wild, exciting days on the road where we, you know, I remember at a certain point we were driving an old school bus. Somebody had joined the group who had a converted school bus with 2 cast iron wood stoves in it.
And I was like isolated with this guy because when we were traveling, you know, you had to be with your partner to get through. And I do remember someone said, you know, could I please try to have another person? This isn't working out.
That's the gig. Rise and shine. Clean up the campsite. Say good morning to your check partner.
I remember Erica's partner. He was a skank, I thought.
And hit the road. Unless the group is together, has met up at a campsite somewhere for a while. In which case, T and Doe hold court and teach.
Meditation, it offers a chance for you to get your vibrations higher.
They call themselves a class, and they mean that. They teach for hours at a time.
We want your mind totally on your meditation.
There are roughly 125 recorded hours of these sessions, and they're the only known recordings of T's voice.
We have to do it in our group. You have to do it in yours. We have to do it again. It's going to have to get more and more of your time in meditation.
But trust me when I say, beyond the sound quality, these are not easy listening. They're Bonnie Lou and Herf tossing out new agey phrases, rambling, talking about the ultimate goal, how to get to the next level.
We're trying to teach you how to prepare yourself to communicate, because you're not going to have a bunch of chatterboxes in the next level.
The way they described it is talking about the next level is like talking to a dog. You know, he might understand Alpo, but, you know, it's like woof, woof, woof. And so they said in a way it was impossible to talk about what it would be like on the next level because we couldn't really understand it with our human minds.
And another thing that can be hard for us to understand from outside the class, from having never sat at the feet of T and Doe, is that the two of them didn't see themselves as equals. T was above Doe. Doe looked to her as his older member, as wiser than him. You can hear it in the tapes.
I don't trust my connection with the next level. How can you trust yours? I'm not convinced that I listen to the right voice at all until I take it to T. Do you follow that? But so don't listen to voices.
See, Doe says don't listen to the voices in your head unless T tells you to. You think of Heaven's Gate, and if you picture anyone, you see Doe, Marshall Herf Applewhite, with that white hair and spacey eyes. But maybe you should also try to imagine T, Bonnie Lou Nettles, off camera, unseen, but in many ways, the real leader.
She is the more important of the two of them.
This is Ben Zeller again, our scholar. And he says former members told him over and over that T had an aura.
When you were around her, you felt as if you were in the presence of a spiritual battery, that there was someone emanating energy. She is the battery. She has the sort of the spiritual energy which drives the group. To extend that metaphor, Applewhite, he's the wiring. He's the light bulbs. He's the stuff that makes it glow. But without the battery, the flashlight doesn't work.
And I wish I could understand this presence that T supposedly had, because I can't see it in the pictures. And you can't really hear it in these tapes. But listening to them, you just feel like T and Do knew where they wanted to go, but not how to get there, or even how to explain it.
Lift your eyes up.
No, you close your eyes.
Imagine.
Just concentrate. That's right.
Okay.
Just concentrate on that spot right in here. I mean, if you're having trouble meditating, take your thumb and press it like that. Okay? And that'll help you meditate. Okay? This is a program. Anytime you need to relax.
Well, give them one for when they're too relaxed.
Well, you can work it in reverse.
One exercise was they brought in some tuning forks. You hit it and you get the A tone, actually. They said that we needed to learn to tune into that tone. So we would take that A tone and you'd hit it and stick it on your head, and you'd feel a vibration of it going through your brain, your whole head, that cavity, And we try to think about that, I think I still can hit it.
And for what? Well, that's the thing. As difficult or mundane as the day-to-day was, everyone understood that the payoff would be huge. According to T and Do, this was all in preparation for what they had promised, that a UFO would come to Earth and take them away to the next level forever. No death, just transformation to eternal life. Now put aside the plausibility or believability for just a second. Understand, this is what the group has been promised. And this is what they truly, deeply believe.
T and Do were always pressed by some of the students for when they would leave. And T and Do would always say, it could be months. And they were constantly asked, can you be more specific, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, I think T said 5 years, not more than 5 years. And so then at 5 years, T felt like she had instructions to prepare to leave. And so we were still camping at that point at actually Cave Without a Name, which was a tourist site in Boerne, Texas. So we all prepared to stay up all night, if necessary, to wait for the spacecraft. And the spacecraft didn't come. I later learned from Do that T felt like she had egg on her face for scheduling that, but she never explained it to us, why it didn't happen.
Imagine being in the position of T here. 5 years of camping and teaching and promising, and these true believers. Now they're standing around saying, where's the UFO? And every day and week and month without the UFO coming to get them is another day and week and month that T's role as the great prophet is vulnerable.
And the way the story was told to me, as they became so disheartened, the two did, they said, you know what, maybe we've got this all wrong. Maybe we're not who we think we are. And people said, no, that's not so. Don't doubt. This is just a test. It's just a test, because everything was a test, right? They were doubting it, but the followers were not letting them doubt it. I thought that was an interesting twist, that they had kind of become entangled in a way. They had created something that they couldn't extract themselves from.
People hung on. T and Do have asked their followers not to just accept what they were saying as truth, but also to reject everything else in their lives. Cut all ties to money, possessions, career, family, friends, everything. Bonnie Lou and Herf demanded that. After all, they'd done it themselves. And if T and Doe had to do it, everyone had to. But here's the kicker. Bonnie Lou Nettles, T, well, she didn't practice what she preached.
She wrote me once a month.
This is Bonnie Lou's daughter, Terry, again.
They're in order, and they're all dated. So, about 47.
47 letters from her mom, the same woman who demanded total rejection of family from all of her followers.
And that was just between me and her. Hi, happy birthday, belated one. But at least I remember it. I do hope you are getting stronger and doing okay in school. Sure wish you could realize how important vitamins are. And she went on about that vitamin bit.
And Bonnie wasn't just sending love.
Enclosed, please find $50 for your birthday, plus $50 for Joey, Robin, and Rosalind.
She was sending money.
She had enclosed 2 or 5 $100 bills of this.
The group's money.
Do not let them know who this is from. Pretend like it's something owed you from a past job. If you keep this promise, and in parentheses she said, I will know if you don't, then I will try to send you some more. Please use this wisely to help you get a little ahead.
She kept ties to her past life, gave the group's money away, and hid it from all of her followers for 10 years. So how do you square that kind of hypocrisy? Was it just a mother being a mother to the core? Or was it something more? Did you feel ever that your mother stopped believing it herself?
Yes. I received a letter on August 13th, 1982. And it's not very long. I'm going to read it if it's okay, so I could tell you why I believe it. And I believe this is because I just knew her too well. She said, Terry, if you are with others, please do not let them know who this is from. I am well and safe as of now. I do hope you and Joey and the twins are all okay. And here's the sentence that is just the opposite of their MO. That was the first thing that made me believe something wasn't right. She said, be good, strive for goodness, and by all means conform to society so you will have peace of mind. Give my love silently to everyone. Love always, Mom. P.S. I'm not where the postmarks shows. This be good and strive for goodness and by all means conform to society. I mean, who is she to say conform to society? That didn't make sense after all she had lived through. And it bothered me. I think she wanted out.
Terry feels this so strongly.
I think she realized that she had gotten herself into something. Not one thing that they were doing had come true. Things like, them dying and being resurrected, that never happened. And it was never going to.
And I wish I could say there was any other sign from T that she was harboring doubts. But the only evidence anyone can find that she felt this way is this phrase in this letter. By all means, conform to society. That's a big deal. But it's isolated. T never wrote that to anyone else that we know of, and she certainly didn't conform to society herself. Yes, Bonnie Lou Nettles broke her own rules to connect with her daughter, and to send her money, and to stay connected with the human world outside of Heaven's Gate, but she also chose to stay inside her group and lead it for the rest of her life. Coming up, Nancy Brown realizes what she can do to find her son and help all the families like hers. Just wait.
I'm Jack Hitt.
And I'm Chenjerai Kumanyika. From Gimlet Media, this is Uncivil, where we ransack America's past and ruin the history you grew up on.
We'll bring you stories of espionage.
You had to be a spy to be black and to survive.
Con artists.
He produced $15 million of fake money.
Betrayal.
I feel like someone has put a dagger through my heart.
We'll bring you the covert history of the Civil War.
Uncivil.
Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts.
In order to support our show, we need the help of some great advertisers. In order to find great advertisers, we need to learn a little bit more about you. So please, go to podsurvey.com/gate and take a quick anonymous survey that will help us get to know you a little bit better. That way, we can show advertisers how great our listeners are. Plus, once you've completed the survey, you can enter to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Again, that's podsurvey.com/gate, GATE. Thanks for your help. We're back. While one mother, Bonnie Lou Nettles, was on the inside reaching out, another mother, Nancy Brown, was on the outside wanting in. She needed to know where her son David was.
One day at work, out of nowhere, I just started to cry. And when I got home that evening, I went and sat by a window facing the creek and to meditate, just to settle myself inside. And I just felt so hopeless, like, nobody really knows what that's like. And then this little flash popped inside my brain, said, oh yes, there are people who know what you're experiencing. Because they're experiencing it too. And those are the parents, siblings, children of other members of the group. And I actually jumped up from the chair. It's like, oh my gosh, of course, how can I find these people?
This is the letter.
This is the letter.
Nancy formed what she called the Family Support Network. She tracked down the families of those who had been left behind. And she sent them a letter.
May 2nd, 1980. I won't read the whole thing, it's kind of long, but I said who I was, why I was contacting that my son, we had one letter since he left in 75 when he was 19, and this was now 1980. And I said, my goal in gathering further information and knowledge about the group is to gain assurance, or lose it perhaps, that he is well and doing what he freely chooses, and to let him know how he can contact his family if he wishes, without fear of the response. I don't intend to interfere with his life. I do not know if the UFO cult is evil or benign. I've heard both views. And so I said, I'm in regular contact with several families in California whose children left 5 years ago. But I'd like to be in contact with you also, and to have all of the families who want to take part, to share their information. So I invite you to join me in this endeavor. And I left my phone number and the best times to call. At first, and because some of the mail was returned, they'd moved on. But I started to collate the information. And sometimes they say, well, they refer me to somebody else who had talked to somebody who knew somebody who joined the group, or a family member of somebody else who joined the group and wasn't related to them. So then I'd follow up with that person.
It was the beginning of a network for the families of Heaven's Gate, a crack in this wall that Bonnie Lou and Herf had constructed between their group and the world.
So this was like, wow, this has really worked. There are other people out there, other families going through what I'm going through who want to know information, and I have found some.
Bonnie Lou and Herf were not as thrilled. And Bonnie Lou said so in one of her letters to her daughter.
She said, Terry, sorry I have to be so secretive, but that's the way it is at this time. Also, if you will, do not let anyone know about it, especially that network woman, Nancy Brown. She is not to be trusted.
They found out that we were looking for them. They did not like it. And of course, these were the days when there were other cults and other families would kidnap their relative, their family member from whatever group they were with and put them through deprogramming, without their consent. And so, of course, the group was very apprehensive.
Nancy's right. Deprogramming was a big deal back then. It was the way a lot of families tried to rescue loved ones from cults. We'll get into all of that later on in the series. But Nancy wasn't trying to deprogram anyone. She really only wanted one thing, to hear from her son and to know that he was alive and well.
So that was when, I had published, of course, my phone numbers, and I was always hoping I might get a call from David. But in those days, no cell phones. So I got the state-of-the-art voice message machine from Sony. It was pricey, but it had a cassette tape you put in, so it gave somebody up to 30 minutes to leave a message. And then one day I came home, and a little light was flickering, and there's a message. And it says, hello, this is your son, David.
If you want to know how you can help these parents who want to hear from someone on the trip, if you would print in your newsletter the names of those parents who will promise not to kidnap their family members or keep them from doing what they want to do, I'll promise you that most of these parents will hear from their loved ones pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, that's the call.
When you heard his voice for the first time in several years, what did you feel like?
It was wonderful because, that's David, that he's alive, he sounds well. So we sort of had accomplished our goal.
The newsletter prompted similar phone calls, including one to Terry Nettles from her mom, Bonnie Lou. It was the first time they'd spoken in years.
I got an actual phone call as a result of Nancy Brown's newsletter. We had a great conversation, but I never really got to find out much about her. She only wanted to talk about me. And I wanted to talk about her, and I never got to do that.
This is one of their final conversations, but the letters kept coming, for a little while at least.
And this letter dated April 15th, 1985. Hi, I hope you are feeling better and growing stronger. Give my love to Robin, Rosalind, and Joey, and I hope they're okay also. Been busy and active. Please accept this little gift to do with as you wish. Please be mom about it. All my love, M. That was the last letter I received from her.
Less than a year later, in 1986, Terry was sitting in her college room in Dallas when she got a call from two members of the group.
They called me and said they were downstairs because I was living in a dorm. I said, sure, come on in. And they come in and I had a picture of Yoda on my wall. I was a kid. I was a college kid. And they said that my mom liked Yoda, that Yoda was very wise. or she considered him to be very wise. He's a puppet. And at one point, Liv, who was a nurse, started talking about something. And I wasn't paying much attention because I really wasn't interested. I was interested in finding out about my mom and how to reach her. And she said something about my mom's eye, being, and I said, "What are you telling me, that my mom had her eye removed?" And she says, "Yes." And they continued on to talk. I said, "Mom's dead, isn't she?" Fully expecting them to say, No, it's nothing like that. And they said, "Yes."
There is so much more behind that news. What happened to T and what happened after T. We're going to go into all of it. But next episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to talk to Jenna Weiss Berman, one of the show's executive producers. And Jenna's going to flip things around and interview me because we've heard from a lot of you that you'd like to know more about my own cultish background. And I thought, you know what? Let's do that. Because working on this show, I keep thinking about that background as well. So we're going to talk about what it means when you and your family are in a cult together. And I hope you dig it. Heaven's Gate is produced by Stitcher in collaboration with Pineapple Street Media. Our team includes Ann Hefferman, Barry Finkel, Diane Hodson, Josh Gwynn, Osa Secker, Jess Hackle, Dan Taberski, Peter Clowney, Casey Holford, Jenna Weiss Berman, Max Linsky, Chris Bannon. Special thanks to Ben Zeller. I'm your host, Glynn Washington. This show deals with some hard things, and one of the hardest is suicide. There are many resources available to people who are in trouble or thinking of suicide, and if you're feeling for any reason that might be you, please reach out and get help. One great resource is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. The number is 1-800-273-8255. One more time, 1-800-273-8255.
We hope you understand. That's the most important. Do you understand what we're talking about?
Stitcher.